All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello. What's up, bro?
Oh no.
Do we need to post? Do we need to post the live the link places, or is it already posted?
The which?
The link to this?
No, people just like for people to watch it.
Yeah.
No, it's happening.
Okay. Again.
Happening. Amazing.
Again, you're the responsible one, not me. So.
Okay, cool. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Here we are. It's been so long. I don't know about you, but I've been really looking forward to this.
Me too.
And I'm like, I want to do this every day.
Every other day, but yeah.
Every other day. Yeah.
No, it's so fun. No, you're right. I mean, I totally get excited too, because I learn something every single time. It's always a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm super excited. And we have a pretty great guest tonight.
Yes. I'm very excited. It's our first time having a guest, which is super cool. So yeah, so we're just gonna chat, just the two of us, and catch up on what we've been up to for about 10 minutes, and then we'll have our awesome guest, Sarah Reed, here today, who's an awesome designer who I'm very excited to chat with. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, I have some pretty cool news that I want to share.
Awesome.
So I went to a publisher meeting on Tuesday. It's this publisher who's in Canada, a Canadian publisher. And I've been wanting to sort of build a relationship there and, see what happens. So we finally set up a meeting in their office, and I drove up to their office a couple of days ago, and I brought 4 games, and I showed them all to them, and they do mostly party games and trivia games, which is perfect for me. I showed them 4 games, and one of them on the spot, he says he wants to license.
Yay!
Yeah!
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super, yeah. So I'm super, super excited. So yeah, but with that said, and this, that doesn't mean, doesn't mean anything, even when you sign the paper. So I'm just enjoying this moment now, imagining it's going to happen. It's going to be on the shelves.
Right.
It's going to be in, the best-selling game of all time. So I'm just enjoying this moment for now.
Cool.
But yeah, so until it's like actually printed in a real game, who knows? But just enjoying this moment for now, because this is the game I'm super excited about. It's a really fun game. It's called Act Fast, and it's like a speed charades game. So it's super fun, and it's just a game that I want to be an actual game so I can play it with my friends. So yes, we'll
awesome.
see what happens, but I'm very excited.
That's cool.
But yeah, I realized that I didn't introduce myself for you, and so here we go. Hi, I'm Pam. This is my co-host Kathleen. Welcome to Board Game Broadscast. So I'm just so excited to jump right into it. But I want to throw that over to you, because some people probably don't know maybe that you have dealt with that, where you had a signed contract. And things changed. Like, do you want to maybe share that story?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's been kind of like when you said, like, when the game hits the shelf, and I think there's one, I had a game signed with a publisher, and their business plan, I guess, sort of shifted. And so the plan for our game is what I designed with my partner, Mark. The plan kind of changed, and it was kind of up in the air as far as what was happening. And luckily, myself and a number of other designers, we were able to get our games back. And luckily, we didn't have to pay the advance back, which was nice. And it was interesting because, some people are like, oh, but it was under contract. It's like, yeah, it was under contract, but if it's not necessarily going to go anywhere, then it just means it's tied up with somebody else, And so in the end, that is kind of scary, because it's like, the expression, a bird in the hand, 2 in the bush. Well, we were basically throwing it all up in the air. But it actually has turned out to be a great thing, because we were able to take the game, rework it a ton, and it's a lot better, I think, than where it was.
Mhm.
And I was really happy with it before. So again, even if nothing ever comes of this game, I swear this is like my training wheels game. Like every lesson in games and game design, I think I've learned through this one.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. Everything from all the from design, development, pitching,
Yeah.
design, development, design, all that through that. The other thing that's been kind of interesting that's happened is for those who follow games on Kickstarter, they will know that Colossal kind of made some waves recently, unintentionally, when they had their campaign suspended. And there are a couple companies under the Colossal imprint, and Maple Games was one of them. Maple Games had a game suspended. Mm-hmm. And also the big kind of shocker was that a game that had closed its campaign, that had finished, that had funded, and that campaign was suspended, and all the money was refunded back to backers. And there was a lot of confusion over what was happening and why this was done, and for them to get a hold of Kickstarter. And so I have a game with Colossal that's supposed to go on Kickstarter in August. So when there's all kinds of like discussion by all these myself included probably, but these sort of like armchair Kickstarter experts talking about like what's happening and all that. Yeah. So it's one of those things when you have no control over a situation, you're just like, what? Yeah. What's going to happen? This is a big old nutty game. And so when I'll do whatever I need to do to help make it come to life. And luckily it seems like they've worked stuff out. And so that's good. And so hopefully that means if there's any delays in my game, they won't necessarily be terrible, but hopefully they're still planning on doing it, which I think they are, because I haven't heard otherwise. So yes, I think that's one thing when it comes to, if you want to have a game, if you want to make games, it's so fun. If you want to have games published, it is not a straight line between your design and the store. So just be ready for so many different things to happen. Yes.
Yeah, and it definitely is. I think you definitely got it right, that it is that giving up control and not having control over something that you've been so close to and worked on for could be quite a while, and you just have to, whatever happens, and hopefully usually for the best.
Right. Well, I mean, and you sell it. It's theirs, I mean, they can make whatever changes they want to it. So and I think as long as you see it not as a statue in the ground, but more of a moving, flexible art piece, then I think you can enjoy the process a little bit more. If you're like, no, this is my game and only it should be this way, that you might be right, but you also might be limited by your own individual perspective, and they're 100%. The ones that have to try to sell the thing. So be flexible, Myrtle. It's cool.
I know, 100%, absolutely. And that's what I see a lot in designers, and usually maybe designers might be their first game, or they don't have a lot of experience in the industry, is that they want to hold on real tight and keep that control, and they know best and all that stuff. But really you just have to, if you want to go the route of a publisher. But Sarah's done a lot of self-publishing, which is really interesting. And you know what? I'm tinkering with the idea of self-publishing too. Some games that I'm getting continually feedback that these are really fun and unique and clever, but we already have one, kind of like, they're basically like trivia games. So all these publishers like, well, we have our one trivia game already. Even though this is really good, we just don't have room for it in our line. So I'm kind of thinking like,
that makes sense.
Maybe I'll go the self-publishing route. We'll see. I'm not sure. But before we add Sarah, quick, what else is going on with you? How have the last 4 weeks been?
Good. My tile placement game is not, I had some really good playtesting done. JR Honeycutt, who's a really good game developer who happens to live in my house. We got together. Yeah, we play tested and with another local designer, and he really helped clarify some of the technical issues in my game that I think are too surmountable for me to fix by Geekway, which I was hoping. So hopefully that's just something I'll be able to plug away through, maybe by Gen Con. We'll see. And the other thing too has been working with this big video game company on my secret hush hush project. And with the end of the school year, that's coming to an end soon too. And so I'm really excited because I've been teaching game design for so long. And the thing is it's not so much that I teach game design. I teach kids how to design games. And I think that I teach kids connection is important. And the game design component is also important, but I teach kids. I'm always focused on the people in front of me and then the content that goes with it. Does that make sense? And so working with them to try to broaden their perspectives towards a different age group, looking at their audience a little bit differently, has been a ton of fun. And it's really gratifying that as the person who's working on the actual writing and development of all these lessons comes back to me and, I see so many of my suggestions and changes into it. It's really gratifying, especially because it should have a pretty good audience when it's done. And that's cool too. So yeah,
I'm excited for when you can talk about it in more.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if we can figure out how to do this and bring our first ever guest onto the show. I'm super excited because I've known Sarah online for a few years, but now it's the first time we'll actually talk.
Oh, cool.
So very cool. Okay. So, all right, we're going to add her in and we'll see if this works.
Oh, your window got smaller. There, Sarah.
Hey,
hi.
We did it.
Huzzah. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
I can even do that. Ooh, do we like that?
What are you doing?
Well, I'm moving our faces around. Let's do that. So now you're top and center. Here we go.
Wow. Thank you.
I'm like a fish.
It's so nice to meet you, Sarah, and actually talk to you.
Yeah.
In person.
Yay.
And thank you for being our first guest on the show. Very excited.
Very excited to be. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Well, and we did say if you want to be on the show, step up. Luck favors the bold. And Sarah stepped up and said, I would love to be on the show. And that's cool. And I like women who go after what they want. So well done.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you definitely were on my list of people I want on the show too, because you've done so many great games. And so if some people might not know sort of like what you do, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and sort of the projects you've been working on, the games you've done, and that sort of thing.
Okay. Our two major published games are Project Dreamscape and Oaxaca, Crafts of a Culture. They were both on Kickstarter. And I know you guys were talking about self-publishing before, but I will actually have to say I didn't self-publish. We partnered with our friend Ben, and honestly, we were not going to self-publish. As much as I'm a huge Kickstarter fan and I back a lot of projects and I know a bit, some people call me expert. I just know a lot. I wouldn't say much more than that. But I also know that with the way my life is, I was not going to run a Kickstarter. It's so much work, and especially if you want to be successful, which, I mean, that's kind of the point, just to be successful. I just knew that as much as my husband and I could do it, we didn't want to do it.
It's a lot of work.
It is. So thankfully with Project Dreamscape, we were play testing one day and a new guy had joined. His name was Ben Haskett. And we had played a couple of his prototypes. And then when he got to play Project Dreamscape, I swear in the middle of play testing, he stood up and said, I'm going to help you publish this. He was just so impressed by the design. He's like, this has to be made. And he's like, what plans do you have? And I'm like, the Game Crafter? And he's like, we could do better than that. Nothing against the Game Crafter. That is a solid self-publishing route if you don't want to do Kickstarter. But then the onus is definitely on you to advertise and get it out there. And we weren't going to be very successful that way. So we did Project Dreamscape. That would have been, oh dear, brain. 2015, I think, is when we ran the Kickstarter, and then fulfilled to backers in 2016. And then it took us a while to get another game going in a way that was, worth putting up on Kickstarter. And again, Ben was still available and willing. And in fact, Oaxaca is really interesting because it's his theme are game mechanisms, because our original game was about archaeology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Will really wanted a real world theme on this game. And so he had done a lot of research about different things that we know exist, but we don't know where they are. Like they've been lost to time. And so he did all this research, lost swords, even lost libraries. I mean, things like that we have record of existing. And we like, okay, this is cool. But if anybody's seen Oaxaca, we have these tiny mini cards. And when we were working through with Ben, he's like, there's no way to fit art onto these tiny little cards to represent a whole library that we don't even know what it looks like. So as much as we want to do real world, the archaeology theme was just not working. So he had been trying for a long time to make a Oaxaca game because he loves Oaxaca. He's been there. He's got family there. And he came to us one day and he's like, look, I know this is a really weird idea. I love your game mechanisms, but could we retheme it? And we're like, sure. What are your ideas? And he's like, Oaxaca. And we're like, perfect. Everything was just a seamless transition. There were no problems whatsoever. There were 5 decks for different types of archaeology things you can find. And there's 5 different types of crafts. Instead of having a study, you have a workshop. Instead of having a gallery where you display your findings, you have the market stall. Everything was just so seamless. And I absolutely adore the art that we were able to get on Oaxaca.
Well, and it's funny because I was looking at the BGG page for it because I haven't had a chance to play it yet. And looking over it. And that was the funny thing is, so because Pam and I, of course, being diligent hostesses, came up with questions. And so all my questions, you basically just kind of like blew out of the water or answered for the most part. Because a lot of, no, not oops. This is awesome. Because I had a question about inspiration for the content. So, okay, check, nailed it. And a question about merging the theme with mechanics. So, Sarah Reed, girl who's on top of it, done. But actually, I think, and having my one question about inspiration. So my one question about the inspiration, with Oaxaca, I had a question about basically how do you strike the balance between cultural appreciation and then appropriation, but then you say Ben has been there, Ben has family there. He's certainly more invested than I saw a picture of this once in a National Geographic when I was 12 and it looked cool,
Well, we also did get some consultation. We actually worked with an importer so that our special editions could have I'm not good at, okay, I have no Spanish background. So alebrijes, I think is how it's pronounced. It's little wooden figures. And so for our special edition, everybody got 4 of those so that could replace the 4 meeples in the game. It's purely cosmetic, not necessary. But this importer we worked with, because he would go physically to the markets in Oaxaca, and he bought all these. I mean, we ended up with, I want to say close to 600 or 800 figurine, the alebrijes that we bought directly from, as directly from Oaxaca as we can through an importer. But working with him, he gave us some advice on the art to use and the art not to use. Because there was one piece we absolutely loved, but evidently it's only by one artist, and that would kind of be seen as copyright infringement or of his rights for he's the only one who does this style of tin art with a hand with a heart in it. And it's very particularly this one artist. So we had put that in, and he said, no, don't do that. And we're like, okay, we won't do that. Because, we do want to be sensitive. I mean, I'm completely white. I can't get around that. Will has Hispanic backgrounds, but I can't say that any of it is directly from Oaxaca. And while Ben does have family, he's still quite removed from Oaxaca. So, yes, and we did have a few people who kind of pointed the finger at us because we all look white. If anybody checks out the Kickstarter page, Ben looks white, Will looks white, I'm definitely white. And so it does look like we're appropriating a little bit. So we did try to reinforce as much as we could that we were being very, well, as sensitive as we could be about the fact that, yes, not all three of us were born, raised from Oaxaca.
Right.
So I think most people were okay with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think if some people aren't, then they don't have to back it. I mean, certainly the fact that you're expressing, a level of, like true sensitivity towards the subject, is certainly good. Not that you wouldn't, but you know what I mean, in case people had concerns about that. And that's the thing too, because all artists, ultimately we work off references, it's no art, very little is ever created just in a pure vacuum that just comes from nowhere. And so having inspiration for something, and especially considering like the fact that you could actually have pieces in your game that are actually from there, that's amazing. Like and
afterwards when people couldn't, because once we knew how many we're getting, that was it. But that importer listed on his website. So anytime someone comes up to me and says, hey, I really wanted to get those alebrijes, how do I get them? I'm like, here you go. They're a little more expensive than what we got them because we got a bulk rate. But anybody can go, and I'll try to find the link if I still have it somewhere, I'm sure. And even if you don't use this guy, there's other people that import directly from Oaxaca, and that helps support the artists there, which I feel really strongly about, and I'm really happy we were able to do that. And I will continue to point people in these directions of, you can too. You can support Oaxaca too, and it doesn't take a plane trip. There are people you can buy from.
That's super awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting that wasn't the original theme. I'm very surprised by that because it's just so, like you said, perfectly integrated into the gameplay. That's really interesting. I really do enjoy it because I love making crafts and making stuff, and I like playing board games, and this brings those two together. And it's like, it really feels like you're building things, which I really enjoy. But so you mentioned that that was a co-design with your husband Will, and you have, I think, the majority of your designs you do together. So I'm interested if you can just talk about how that sort of design relationship started for you and Will, how that sort of formed.
Okay, it's a very cute story. You're all going to go aw at the end of it. Will and I have been playing games together since we got together. It was video games first, and then I actually introduced him to Magic the Gathering and role-playing games. And we got to a point we were a little burnt out on both. We stopped Magic and we stopped role-playing, so we got into what I would call normal board games, because role-playing and Magic are kind of like lifestyle games. If you're doing those, that's pretty much all you're doing. And so we got into board games, and we got Dominion, and we got Agricola, and all these, modern board games. We dove head first into it. And a couple of years into it, Will loves to surprise me for my birthday. Every single year, he's trying to do something cute, different. Like, he completely fooled me on getting, what was it? Mice and Mystics. It came up. I was like, oh, Will, this is a really cool game. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. And I take that as a cue. If he's not interested, it's not a game we're going to get because I'm not going to play it on my own. So I kept bringing it up to see if he might change his mind. And he's like, nah, I don't know. I mean, it's okay. And then for my birthday, he buys everything and gives me all of Mice and Mystics. But I'm getting distracted. So, sorry. So for one of my birthdays, he came to me looking very forlorn and upset. And he said, I can't make you what I want to make you for your birthday. And I'm like, well, what is it? He's like, I want to make you a board game. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what do you need to do? He's like, well, okay, let me pause. For those who don't know, my husband is legally blind. That basically means, it means a lot of things. He can't drive, which is why it's legally, because he's not completely blind. And so he can see some things, but not enough. He could do enough to use the computer, but not like that much to do like art or graphic design or anything. So he told me what he wanted to do. And I said, well, let me help. And so he found the Game Crafter. I found some websites that had free clip art. And we made our first very, very crappy game. It was a roll and move. Even though we'd been playing Dominion and Agricola and all these other things, our first game was roll and move.
You work off what you know, especially in the beginning. It's cool.
You do. And that just kind of started it all. And we found a board game store and started talking to the owner there. And he one day said, there's other people in the area that are designers too. Why didn't you all meet at my store? And I was like, okay, cool. We can meet with other designers. And then he got us started. And then I continued because I'm this crazy organizing type of person. I continue to run, even to this day, the monthly get-togethers with other designers in my area. I mean, sometimes it's 4 people. Sometimes we got to 15 once, so I'm real excited about that.
Yes.
I'm in California. Most people are doing stuff outside, so it's hard to find designers that are local. And I'm not in the Bay Area, which is where most of them are. So yeah, I think that's a long-winded way of answering your question.
No, that's really great. And good for you for starting that and continuing it now, running those monthly play tests. And is that where you met Ben as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had heard about it actually from, I'm gonna get this wrong, somebody in the Bay Area, and I'm just not gonna say who because I'm not gonna remember who. But yes, he was online friends with somebody in the Bay Area, and someone in the Bay Area had heard about my playtest meetings. I think he might have thought about coming once or twice, but I'm in Sacramento. It's a couple hours drive. Mm-hmm. And so he basically told Ben, go to the meeting. And so Ben showed up a couple of times, and, he's not as regular now because one of the things is we have to stop our partnership with Ben after Oaxaca because he's got 2 little girls now. He got like 2 promotions just this last year at work. So his life's gotten a little crazy.
Mm. Yeah. So. It's hard when you find the right group with the right juju, you just want to hold on to it as long as you can till, because life always does change. That is for sure.
But he got us started, so it's great.
So how do your approaches to design, how do they differ and how do they merge?
Well, it comes down to, for the most part, Will is the idea maker. He, I'm sure, has 40 different ideas he's written down and probably still a couple more percolating in his head. Because one of the things with his vision disability, he play tests in his head way before he even tells me about a game. And he'll bounce ideas off me. I would say I take more of the developer role, which I absolutely love. He'll tell me, what do you think about this? And I'll be like, well, I don't know. And then, we continue our conversation, and then he'll be like, okay, let me think about it some more. Eventually it'll get to a point he writes something down. I take his haphazard notes and I try to turn them into the first version of the rules. And then I start making the first components. We mostly make card games just because it's the easiest and what we're familiar with. So I was using Photoshop, but thankfully Elizabeth taught me how to use Nandeck, which I'm very excited about. I have this sometimes I don't quite know how to reconcile it within my head, but I am a very analytical data person. And so at work, I work with numbers all day, which is so not creative, but I've learned so much through Excel and how to do different formulas and stuff. And now this program Nandeck basically uses coding of a type to create prototypes, and it can be done so much faster and iterates when you need to make a change. It's just so quick. What used to take me 2 weeks in Photoshop to change every single card now takes 5 minutes. So I'm lead playtester in terms of running the playtest because, again, with his vision, it's hard for him to keep track of everything that's going on. If it's mainly his design, he'll still make a lot of the major changes. But I have come up with my own warm and fuzzy feelings I recently made last year for AEG's call for women designers. And that was mainly my design. And so he took on the more developer role. And that was a very different experience for both of us, because that wasn't our normal roles.
How did it feel switching? What was different about it for you? What did you get from it as a designer?
As the lead designer, I didn't feel very confident about making decisions because up to that point, I mean, we're talking, Will and I started in 2013 designing games. And so that makes it about, what are we looking at, 6 years, where most of the time he's lead. So when I say, hey, what do you think about this? It's a suggestion. And then he makes the ultimate decision. There's some stuff I felt very strongly about. And I say, no, you need to make this change. He may or may not make it right away. But eventually, I would say most of the time he comes back and he says, okay, yeah, you were right. We're going to make that change. Sometimes it takes somebody else saying the same thing. But for this, I didn't fully have the confidence to say, okay, this is the change we're going to make. But Will help me with that because he's like, look, these are your choices. What do you feel is right? What do you think is going to work? Let's just try it. And if it doesn't work, we got the other option. So he helped me work through my, I guess, insecurities about being lead and making the decisions.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's so incredibly helpful to have somebody who knows you well and can design with you.
Yes.
You know, that's really, really good. My boyfriend Mark and I are very, very different, and that's a good thing. But sometimes, you know, sometimes they may not be so nice. I'll be like, no, this is what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, so it's good that you guys have worked out that.
Yeah, and it must also be nice to have a co-designer who lives very close, as close as you can get, because I have a co-designer who doesn't live in the same country, and it's difficult. It is challenging. So it must be nice that, you know, every day you're talking to your co-designer, not necessarily about the game all the time.
Right. But I will have to say the downside is I'm starting to fall asleep and Will rushes into the bedroom and he's like, oh, I got this idea. What do you think? And I'm like, I think you need to tell me in the morning because I have to get up really early. So you better let me go to sleep. So, I mean, we have our little arguments.
That's true. There's pros and cons to you gotta turn it off sometimes.
Yes, turn it off sometimes.
Yeah. My husband is not a huge board gamer. But he actually had his very first idea for a board game design. And I tried to hide my pure excitement and joy and also try not to be like, okay, so here's how we're going to do this. What components do we need? When's our first play test? And try to
you like sit on your hands, be like, sounds good.
That's cool.
I like that. Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
and
so Sarah, you've told us about Oaxaca and Project Dreamscape, which
I have one more question about Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. And this is just a pure design question. So again, I haven't played it, but looking at the game in the description of BGG, it's deck pool building and dice rolling. So how both of those can lead to like a good amount of variance, you know? Was it difficult? And my question is, how difficult was it to sort of balance those two kind of spinning wheels together so that the game works well and consistently?
That's all Will, but I will explain as much as I can because Will is the mathematical genius. Not that math, and I don't want to scare anybody off. Math is not the solution all the time, but it's a great basis to get started with. So how it works is you start off and you have very little that you can do. It's like it eases you into the game. And so, yes, the first time you roll, your dice pretty much dictate what you can do. But as you start to do those things and you start getting cards built into the usable area, which is your market stall, you start having mitigation abilities, manipulation abilities, things where you can change the dice or modify the dice or be able to do extra things. And so Will and I, one thing we have noticed is we are huge fans of engine building. And I guess that's not an option. I have to look back at BGG because maybe we need to change that because engine building is really what this game is about. Because you've got this set of dice and you're using each of the dice for actions and either gaining new cards to your workshop to work on or taking the work cubes off those cards so you can finish those crafts and put them into your market stall, which is then where you get to use them. So it is more about creating an engine that helps you do things better in the short amount of time that you have because you only have 3 rounds in which to accomplish your goals. And try to do the best. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Just about like how to balance deck pool building with dice rolling. Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah,
they
it's mainly about the
interact
abilities. Oh yeah.
they interact really well together. So you have the dice, but you also have the cards, and then the cubes. You're moving back and forth. You're moving the dice back and forth between. Are you using them to gather? Are you using them to craft? And then yeah, it works really well together, and they work very seamlessly, which is nice.
I mean, that's hard to do. That's
Yeah.
really hard to do.
That is all Will's mathematical balancing. I mean, obviously stuff got tweaked during playtesting. We took out a lot of abilities that were too powerful or things that were not powerful enough. And it's trying to balance the cards that don't take a lot of work are not less useful, not as strong. So if it only has 3 cubes on it, those abilities are much less, I can't find words today, not as big of an effect versus if you have 5 cubes on there, that's going to take more time and energy to get that worked and into your workshop. So that will have a bigger effect on your strategy.
Cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful game too. I just want to look at it every day. It's like I want the mat to be like my placemat and I eat off of at dinner. It's a beautiful. If anyone hasn't seen this game, you need to look it up. Oaxaca. But yeah, so that's an awesome game, Project Dreamscape. I haven't played, but also the art in that is very cool, and it seems like another cool card game using the cards in different ways. So maybe tell us about your current projects, maybe one project you're the most excited about right now.
Oh boy. I have to say lately, I feel like we're a little frenetic because we keep popping from one project to the next and not quite going back to some of them. So last year we went to Origins and we took a couple of prototypes and got some great feedback, showed them to some publishers. It didn't end up working out, but that's fine. We got good feedback. So there's a couple of games we need to go back to, but currently I think what I'm most excited about is, and this is still just really early. 2 of our friends, John and Sarah, they're in our game design group. They've been working on this game called Oolong, which is about tea, but it's an abstract. They mostly design abstracts. They are the designers behind Grackles, and coming out soon is Rocket Squad. I forgot which company ended up picking that up. I think it might be Ultra Pro, because I wanted to say it was a company I wasn't used to actually publishing games.
Right.
Anywho, Grackles is very much abstract about birds on a line, and we helped playtest that when it was the French Revolution. I have to say that theme did not. It was interesting, but it didn't quite work for me. I don't know if birds on lines work either. Anyways, you're making lines or barricades for the French Revolution and the city, and this is making lines of birds. Anyways, so the Oolong, I keep getting on tangents. The Oolong tea, they just couldn't get to work, and Will, with his mathematical genius, figured out why it wasn't working is because it was too deterministic. Basically, whoever goes first will always win the game. And that's a problem.
Yes.
Yes.
Very big problem.
Unless I go first, and then it's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Of how deciding who goes first.
I'm so good at this game.
Right. So the real game is who goes first, and that's the winner.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's a very interesting mechanism of how you place stones on, or you were serving tea to these different tables. And it was a really interesting mechanism of how you do this thing. It's just, it didn't make a difference what you did. Whoever placed the first piece won. So they were at a standstill, and Will's like, well, let me think about it. And so he's come up with a way to use their system as an action selection mechanism. Instead of being just the game, you also have cards where the theme is kind of not so sure yet, but we're talking like it's about discussing tea or something, and you're trying to raise the value of different teas. There's 5 tea types: white, black, green, oolong, and I cannot pronounce the third one. It starts with a P, has an apostrophe in it. I think it's like
Cow.
Hold on.
Sure that's the name of the tea.
Pour. Will is trying to tell me that is pour. P-U apostrophe R-H, I think.
I'm not a tea farmer. I lied.
I don't know. So I lost my train of thought. Okay, so we're trying to make this shorter. We're trying to help get a game working with that mechanism, and I'm real excited about it because if we can get it to work, then it'll be 4 people designing a game together, and I think that is a really neat idea because we're taking their original core, modifying it, and seeing how this card playing, where you're using the T placement on the tables as actions, because each placemat's a different color. And so each color is a different action, which allows you to play cards and do other things to manipulate the value of the different Ts. So we've finally got all the components together. So I'm hoping we can actually play test it to see if this is working or if it's just going to bomb. But we'll see.
Well, that's very cool. Because sometimes games you think, oh, it's not working. Should I just abandon it? But then, just parts of it could work, or maybe the whole thing could be a part of another game.
Right.
I'm always so scared too when people say, "Yeah, I got a game 90% of the way done and realized I couldn't finish it, so I had to stop." I'm like, I don't know that I could stop if I was at 90%. You know what I mean? Like, I'd have to really have a lot of other stuff going on that I thought was cool to be like, oh yeah, whatever, my 90% awesome game, go away.
Yeah, that last 10%, sometimes you need that outside person coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Get a fresh set of eyes in there and tweak it and have the outside feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, I am excited. Our next game that is going to get published is a small roll and write that we made called Scrapyard Rollbot, and that's going to be in the what is it calling it? The
Is it Rollbot or Robot?
Rollbot.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
cute.
adorable.
Yeah, we love the puns. We love puns. So yeah, wow, my brain. It's Inkwell Games is doing 2 anthology books of roll and writes, because the concept is everybody has 6-sided dice. So why do you need more 6-sided dice? Let's just package a book or 2 of roll and writes that have the rules and the player sheets. You can photocopy the player sheets, or I'm pretty sure they're going to do a PDF and everyone can just print out the player sheets.
Fun.
And there you go. So you have the book, so you can still have the rules, and it looks nice on your shelf. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people just do the PDF. And the neat thing is this game was a gift to someone for a gift exchange I did on BGG and the Women in Gaming Forum one year. And the woman I got, she wanted dice games for solo play. And I'm like, I don't know of any. And Will's like, well, let's just make one. We've got 2 months, so let's make something up.
Oh, that's cool.
And we did. The first version wasn't like the most fantastic, but it was playable. It was fun. It was about dragons eating dinner.
I'm very for dragon.
Kathleen knows all about dragons.
Yeah. So I
Daenerys
really liked
ain't
it.
got nothing.
I liked the theme, but it wasn't really making a whole lot of sense. So we rethought it, and it turned into you are scavenging a scrapyard to make a robot for the science fair. But the problem is your nemesis, Rick, you know, he's in your way.
Always some dude named Rick or Jeremy ruining everything. We got you.
So
seriously, so dumb, Jeremy.
Seriously. He is in the scrapyard also taking parts that you need. So it's a race to get all the parts made, or you need to get for your robot, and then try to still find time to make it awesome and upgrade it even more, and then to see who has the best robot for the science fair.
That's super cute. I want to play that now.
Mm-hmm. I love rolling rights.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
That's because I like the idea of just being able to change the world, conform the world, that permanence, yet impermanence, but physically committing that action, I think is awesome. That's so cool. So you were working in all kinds of different mechanics and different types of games. I'm a little jealous here. How are you doing all that, lady?
I still most of it comes down to engine building. I will have to say almost all of our games in some respect, except maybe the roll and write. Well, Warm and Fuzzy is more resource management, card management. I don't know. I still attribute a lot of it to Will, but we also play a lot of different games. And so we mostly get inspired by playing a game and not being quite happy with it, And so we think about what we would do differently. So Project Dreamscape was inspired by the fact that we didn't really like set collection games, because once you collected the set, it did nothing. It sat in front of you and sat there, and then it was just pointing
As
to the end
God
of the game.
intended, like go fish, go on. Just kidding.
Well, I like a lot of set collection games,
I was just
but
kidding.
we wanted something a little more engaging.
Yes.
And so Will came up with Project Dreamscape, where you are making a row of cards where it's more about card sequencing. You have to put the cards in the right sequence because they have icons on them, and you're trying to put like icons next to each other. The longer chain of like icons you can make, the more points you have at the end of the game. The theme is that scientists have created this machine that can bring dreams to reality, but they need strong dreamers who can shape and guide their dreams. And so everyone is you're a lab rat, basically, and you are being tested. And so you are trying to gain cards from this middle row into your REM stack, which is your where you dream. Using deep sleep, you're sleeping where you actually get rest. I'm forgetting all the words, but you're trying to get these cards and sequence them. The thing is, when you add a card to your stack, you have a choice of 1 or 2 abilities that you activate. And every time you add a card to the top of your stack, you activate one of the 2 abilities. And so there's some crazy stuff where you can take additional cards from the row. You can take cards out of your stack and put it back on top. You can copy someone else's cards. There's a lot of interactivity, and you're constantly looking at your stack, or most people play it as a row. We originally intended that you're supposed to keep it a stack, but most people splay it out and do it as a row so you can see everything. And so you keep interacting with your stack and all the cards in it up until the end of the game, because you're trying to optimize the order of your cards. And just because you put a card down doesn't mean it has to stay there for the rest of the game. You might be able to pull it out and put it on top.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Sarah.
I'm just thinking through all these things, and
it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
No, it is, but but that's the thing though, is but it works. I'm just really impressed with the complexity of all the diversity of the designs that you've had and how you've put all this together.
We make very thinky games, and what throws people off is we make small, short, thinky games. So most people think that if it's a small box game and doesn't take a long time to play, it's a lightweight game. We are breaking that. I mean, not that we make heavy games. Like a heavy small box game is Xanadu. We still don't play it very often because it breaks Will's brain. It is a deck of cards that is a heavy Euro style game in a small deck of cards and some tokens. And I guess not that we're aiming to be that, but that's kind of where we are at games. One, we know that people don't have a lot of time. So we don't really want to make a long game. There's plenty of those out there. So like with Oaxaca, it originally was designed to play 5 rounds, but we found somewhere in the middle of the 4th round, the game usually broke people because you got to having more choices that you had time to use them. So analysis hit people that didn't even have analysis paralysis. They wouldn't be able to make choices. So we decided, well, let's make a shorter game. People are going to enjoy it. It's like that meaty bite of an appetizer. Although we've had complaints that people want it to be a full course meal. I'm like, well, you can play 5 rounds if you want.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
We're wanting more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, with Project Dreamscape and Oaxaca, we really wanted that meatier experience. And then Warm and Fuzzy Feelings was different because they wanted lighter weight games, and to make a game work for up to 6 people, you have to do lighter mechanisms. But I'll say even in there, it's still a bit more gamery because we put resource management and card management in there, which are not the easiest of concepts for new players.
Right.
Cool.
No, that's a great sort of brand to have. It's like, this is a Sarah and Will Reed game, and you kind of know it's gonna be easy to learn and fairly quick to play, but you're gonna get some good substance to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing we found is you can play it as heavy or light as you want. I mean, for Project Dreamscape, there was a father and a daughter who loved playing it, and they played it very casually. They got some of the lowest scores I've ever seen, but they enjoyed it at their level. And then I've seen some hardcore gamers just like blow the top scores out of the water because they knew how to use all the abilities. I mean, like for me, there's certain abilities in Project Dreamscape I can't use. It just does not work with my brain. I can't figure them out. So I always ignore them. So so we also build that in. We always build in an ease you in. So there's not a whole lot you have to deal with at the beginning. Yeah. And keeping it short to respect people's limited time.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm so sad that we have limited time with you here tonight. See what I did there? That was like a pro move, Kathleen. You should be more impressed than you are right now. That was a good segue.
That was I mean, it was like water flowing down a mountain. What are you talking about? Washing Sarah off the bridge. See you later. We got to move on. Yeah, it was real good, Pam. Is that what you want to hear? Good. We're fighting now. Great.
Thank you.
Our dirty laundry in front of the family. Cool.
This is so much fun, Sarah. It's so cool to chat with you, and your games are so much fun to play, and they're so interesting. And I was so glad I could get to chat with you.
Yeah,
in person.
Well, if you ever have time again, I'd love to be on because, as you can tell, I talk a lot and I talk too much. So
I don't know anything about that.
Show 2 hours long because honestly, we could chat for another hour at least.
So interesting.
I know that there was talk on Board Game Broads about having like a getaway weekend, like play testing weekend. We could all meet together. Oh man, that would be so awesome.
I'm down.
Be really awesome.
Yeah, might need to make it like a week, but
well, if it's in the summer, I can be there for like 6 weeks. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
This is a lot of fun.
Excellent. Bye, Sarah.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, I did that without shutting the whole thing down. Yay!
Like there should be like stickers, you know, or like Girl Scout badges, board game broad badges. Like Kathleen didn't use profanity. not yet.
Well, I think we said swearing is okay. People just need to accept that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh my God. Why does time go? Did we enter in like this weird time warp with these things? The time goes by so fast.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, that was really cool. I've been wanting to chat with her for a while because she just has such great ideas and comes out with so many great games. So that was really cool to learn more about her process and stuff. Process?
No, it's fine. Process. I'm from.
You say pasta or pasta?
No, pasta.
Pasta?
I like calling it noodles though, just to make people mad. They're like, it's pasta. I'm like, noodles?
Are you going for noodles?
Let's get some noodles, man.
Okay. Okay.
Are we ready to talk about other ladies?
Yes. So I think it's hilarious that you have a wall of games behind you, and I have my one lonely Jenga.
Yeah. Like, I actually think I'm going to send you a copy of Shogunate, which was the game I talked about last week.
Yes.
So at least we can, like, build it out, you know, as far as, like, because that copy of Jenga looks like it's actually holding up the top shelf. Like, if you move that.
I can't move it. Yeah. The whole thing's crashing down, just like Jenga.
Oh.
Okay, so is that your game?
This is my game. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm so excited. Go for it.
I'm segueing like a second boss.
That was a harsh segue. I like it.
Yeah, the whole like wash her off the bridge. Maybe I got. I don't know if you know this, but I have the gift of escalation. So, well, so for this last segment of our show. We wanted to make sure that we highlighted other women designers out there, and we are lucky in these times that there's a lot of women who are up and coming. You know that I mean, don't get me wrong, we probably will have a very special Monopoly episode dedicated to the OG, but until then, there's a lot of really great women designers out there, and I wanted to highlight a very young woman designer who's out there, and her name is Sydney Engelstein. She is co-credited as author on Dice Duels. If I get that wrong, I'm going to be really embarrassed with myself. Also, Survive Space Attack. She helped re-engineer this game. And also Dragon and Flagon. She is co-designer there. Notably with her father and brother, Father Jeff Engelstein of Ludology and a whole bunch of other game tech and other amazing things, and their brother Brian. I had the pleasure of having a lovely lunch with them last year at Dice Tower, and super fun family. Like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have like just dinner at the house and
like a Brady bunch of game design.
Oh, amazing. And they're all brilliant and fun and smart. And so Sydney is now actually working as a developer with indie game studios. So she now is helping others to design and develop their games and bring them to reality. And so I actually got to talk with Jeff a lot more last year about games and game design. And so I messaged Sydney today because I wanted to get her feedback as far as, or not for, but her ideas towards games and game design. So I didn't just repeat, what her dad said. And I love what she wrote. She sent me a fun little message, and I want to highlight this because I think she's great. My personal favorite thing in both design and developing is game narrative. I don't mean like flavor text and campaign modes, though as a creative writer, those are some of my favorite things to do. I just mean the emotional arc a game takes you through as you play it. Do you feel like the stakes increase and the energy revs up? By the time you hit turn 3, are you so invested that you need to finish? That's the mark of a great game for me. This all has been building up. One of my favorite personal moments from being a designer when I was working on Space Cadets Dice Duel, there we go, that's the title, with my dad. Every time we made a mechanical decision, I used to have one criteria. Not is it fun or is it balanced or does it make sense? I always asked, will it make the player panic and scream? Are they going to be bouncing in their chair and leaping to their feet from stress? Because to me, that's way more important than balance. That's an experience. That's engagement. If we've got friends to yell at each other over their laughter, that's a success for me. That's a game that matters. And so I absolutely, totally agree. Don Eskridge, who is the designer of the Resistance, I sent him a message the other day saying, hey, I taught my students the Avalon. They are all now currently standing up, so not sitting at the game, standing up, yelling at each other over it. So I just said, well done. Yeah, and I know for you as a party game designer, for you, that's exactly what you're going for too. And I think sometimes with games, there's nothing wrong with cold, hard math, clinical execution of the plan. I get it. I love those too. But when you've got people that are so invested, it actually creates an emotional response in what they're doing. Mm-hmm. That's good design. That's good games. That's what they're all about.
So did you mention that game that you were holding up? Did you say the?
Oh no, the box that I'm holding up.
So
the game that I'm holding. This is Survive Space Attack.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, and if anybody's ever heard me on any podcast where I mention any game, I always talk about how Survive is one of my favorite games from a design standpoint. And when Survive Space Attack was released from Stronghold, you know how like at Gen Con, people like line up at the door so they can like run and go get the copy of the game. Yeah. The only game I've ever done that for, and actually I made my boyfriend even do it. You're like, the only game, Survive Space. Like there should have been others doing this too, and I'm certainly hoping they were. But that's how much I love the game Survive, and super excited, especially when I found out she was part of it. So my board game broad of the month, Sydney Engelstein.
Very cool.
Yes.
I love what she said about the experience, because at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? Board games create experiences for us to share with each other, and that's why we love them so much.
Right. Nobody ever talks about the time you converted 3 blue cubes into 16 brown cubes. I mean, they might. You know what I mean? It's cool. Like, we all had those moments where, like, look at me, math genius all of a sudden. Yeah. But those moments, like, oh, my God. But you can think of other times you've had moments where you're just, like, so invested. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, you need, like, that sort of foundation, those things, those gears working behind the scenes, that math and that balance to create those experiences.
Sure.
So I'm going to give you 3 clues again.
Oh, good.
And we'll see if you can get it. I feel like you'll get it.
Okay.
This game has custom dice, and there's dice placement. It's set in Mexico.
Custom dice placement, set in Mexico. Kathleen's an idiot.
Designed by Sarah Reed.
Oh my God. That's a trick question. Ooh, that is cute. Oh my God, that is cute.
Right? Okay. So
it looks like how Quacks of Quedlinburg should probably look. Although to be fair, I love the glorious excess of Quacks of Quedlinburg. Okay, wait, back to tell us about the game.
This is the player mat I was talking about that I want to be
yeah.
I want to eat off this on my dining room table. That was like a Kickstarter. I think it was a higher level, whatever. But it's very cool. These are the custom dice. I don't know if you can see, but these are all the different types of materials that you can buy. So yeah, so you roll your dice, and then you place them, and then you can use depending on what you roll, you can gather those materials, and then you use those materials to make products. So like here's some more of the. So like
yeah, the colors are great. They're like earthy but bright.
Oh man, it's beautiful. It is like, and it's. I mean, obviously a playthrough. It should not all be about how it looks, but like it is.
I don't know. I'm totally fine with arguing that board games are art, and with art comes, the visual aspects of it. It's totally legit. Yeah, there's some beautiful games out there.
Yeah, and I'm making a game right now with custom dice, and I just love how they look and the cool like custom symbols, and then placing them in certain ways, and then like you said, you can also use cards to manipulate them if you need to. But yeah, the idea of like building stuff and then moving it over to your stall and selling it, it's really cool.
And I think from a design standpoint, roll and writes might be kind of like nudging the door back open with dice, because people got so used to like excluding dice from games as either just like you roll it once and it stays put, or only for like resolution that. The inherent luck of dice became so anathema to everything we were doing in games. And I'm glad to see that people are embracing dice, because there is like Vegas. Hello. Like if people think it's boring to roll dice, each don't think so. Right. So you're embracing like the fun swinginess of that. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why Catan, it hangs on there like the little champion that it is, because at the end of the day, that swinginess makes moments. Those moments create screaming and engagement, and great opportunities and experiences.
Absolutely. I mean, having that luck element and that sort of suspense as you wait for the die to land on the face, I think that like is a great element to most games for sure. As long as you don't have too much luck, why not? All right. Well, let me sit to the shelf.
There we go. That's the putting on the games on the shelf.
There should be a song.
Well, that song's called Baby Elephant Walk. That's probably not the night. We'll come up with something better. We'll do like Edith Piaf, like me lord.
That is a great. Have you sing that at karaoke? It is a great karaoke song.
Oh, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Did I tell you what?
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to the list. I bet they have that all the time in French Canada up there with French songs.
I'll share my karaoke list with you. It's pretty bad.
I have one too. I used to do Shoop all the time, but it kind of got overdone. But really, like the best one is What's New Pussycat by Tom Jones, because you can get super into that one and kind of like make people a little uncomfortable even, but it's so funny and it's short and you don't have to sing well, because I can't sing at all.
Yeah, you definitely want a short one. I've done ones that would go on and on and on.
Oh my God. The worst.
Noted to cross this off the list.
The only reason why I could say I respect Dave Matthews, I'm not a big fan. It's fine. Whatever. I'm sure people love him. It's great. Holy cow. I tried to do Crash one time at karaoke. Just right. And I crash into you. You're just like, oh my God. This song is like on 2 speed. It's awful. Don't ever try Crash. If you can do Crash at karaoke, you are genius. And I am not.
That's not quite near my list. That hasn't.
Pussycat, I love you.
That's pretty fun.
So good.
Yeah, my go-to is "Oh Darling" by the Beatles. That's a good one. And Canadian artist, Avril Lavigne. Yes, you have little known artist, Avril Lavigne. You might have heard
I like
of
that
her.
you're calling her an artist. No, it's fine. Good job,
No.
Ariel.
And
do like
another Canadian,
Skater Boy. He was a skater boy. I said, see you later, boy.
Not even that one. It's I'm with you. You know that one?
No, but we're going karaoke next time we see each other in person.
Yes.
There is no question. Hey, if you want to come to the next Board Game Broads karaoke night.
Yes.
But at some con somewhere, we're doing it.
Oh, yes. If we have that getaway thing, karaoke is happening.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, since we're going to extend the show with karaoke talk, another good one, if you're a non-singer like me who likes to perform a bit for the crowd, is the song The Wanderer by Dion. I'm the type of guy who likes to get around. Yeah, because it's like kind of like, you just like, I love him and I leave him and and then there's one point it's like Rosie on my chest, and if you're feeling extra bold and a little bit drunk and you're wearing a button-down shirt, you can even rip your shirt open a little bit while you're at the bar full of scream people. And I'm not saying you should show your swimsuit parts, but I'm just saying even miming it, people like to scream. So that's another good one for the crowd. And if you sing The Gambler, folks will sing along, but that's like that's not.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's always the classics. But yeah, we should dedicate an entire episode to karaoke talk. I'm 100% cool with that. But I mostly go to the private rooms more so than the bars.
Oh no, I
sing so many more songs.
Yeah,
yeah,
but I'll sing at bars because I am a terrible singer. Like one of my friends said, like I couldn't hold a tune if it was the size of Texas or something like that. Like I really am a terrible off-key, no sense of pitch singer. But dag nabbit, you know what I mean? Like I'm not. I have no shame. Like I will get up there and I will deliver. So I feel like if I'm having fun with it, 5 other people will have fun, and the people who are judging me hard on my singing. Maybe you shouldn't be at the Irish pub singing,
I know you always
with me
get that one who thinks they're the next like Beyonce, and they're trying super hard, and yeah,
that's cool because that's pretty much how Beyonce got found out. Was in a karaoke bar in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm pretty sure.
Really, I thought
no, it was like her parents. No, it was like her parents, not karaoke bar in St. Louis. No.
Then was it Ed McMahon saw her in a bar doing karaoke, and he was like, "You need to be on Star Search." Do you not know the show I'm talking about, Star Search?
I know Star Search. Why is Ed McMahon Canadian, and that's why you're super proud of him or something?
No, if you look up Destiny's Child, Star Search, you'll see like a 10-year-old Beyonce.
Everybody's talking about Homecoming. She did 27 songs at Coachella and had 27 different dances for each one of them.
Did you have you listened to it or watch the documentary?
I've watched people talking about it. Mindy Kaling.
Well, that's because it's pretty amazing.
Yes.
I haven't seen the documentary, but I've listened to it.
Yeah. Whenever I use Beyonce GIFs or GIFs, however you say it, I don't care to fight about it. But I use those like almost universally. Like if I'd like to express any emotion on like thing, it's for me, it's always Beyonce. Like the one where she's like in gold and kind of like looking over her shoulder and just being like, yes. That's like my 90% of the time I use that GIF to explain my thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, she's good for most moods. She is a mood herself. So before we divulge into Beyonce talk, which I made a trivia question. I think I've included Destiny's Child trivia question in every trivia game I've ever made.
That's funny. Wow.
I'm not like a huge DC fan, but
What about Celine Dion?
Celine, no. I'm good, but Shania Twain. Now we're talking. Shania Twain. Any Shania Twain song at karaoke is gonna be a hit.
Well, okay, so I have a cute little story about Shania Twain. One time my friend and I, we were in college and we didn't really have money or a place to go for spring break. And my mom was like, get out of the house. Here's my car keys. Don't be stupid. So we drove from St. Louis, Missouri to Nashville to find out why people don't go there for spring break, basically. And so we were like in town knocking around. We went to like a college bar near Vanderbilt to try to figure out what's going on. And they said, we wanted to learn how to do country line dancing. And they're like, well, you don't learn, you just do it. And I was like, okay, well, we need lessons because I don't even like country music. So they're like, well, you go to the shoot. And I was like, what's that? They're like, it's the gay bar. And I'm like, perfect. We're like, hooray. So we go there and they were having a 2-for-1 happy hour and it was Jeannie's turn to drive. So she had 1 drink and I had 7 in like happy hour. And so then it came time for country line dance lessons. And of course, everybody's like, thought we were so cute. We were just friends. We was like, oh, young love. We're like, yeah, you know, I'm like falling off the tops of my like chunky 90s shoes that are now coming back, of course. So we learned like a Shania Twain song. And in Men of Mine, you'd like kick and do stuff, right? I don't remember that much, 7 drinks. And so we learned that. And then we started making up our own. And the signature move in it, if you've ever seen the movie Clerks by Kevin Smith. Yeah. And there's the Randall walk where he goes, Randall. He like kind of does this like swagger walk and snaps his fingers. We put the Randall walk into our little line dance. So we hang out the shoot, we do the dances, and then they switch over to dance music, which made me laugh because it's a gay bar because it has dance music. So we're like, okay, so we need to go to like a country. So we go to like the Wild Horse Saloon. It's like the big giant thing where like they do like a country music show, like dancing show there on the country music channel, or at least they did, and whatever else. So, okay, we go there. And we're like super nervous because we are outsiders. We don't really like country music and learn on this. And so then all of a sudden they play that Shania Twain song. We're like, we know this one. So we like run out there. We're doing it. We're doing their line dance in Nashville because we're country music goddesses and all this. And so then this like it ends and they play some other songs. So then we just start doing our dance that we did with including the Randall. And so then what happens is it's like, swoom, swoom, swoom. All these people start lining up next to us, like immediately trying to learn the dance. We're like, oh, no, like we're imposters. No. And we like run off because we were like, oh God.
They thought it was like the newest.
Yeah. We're like, no, not for only we get the Randall. So the thing that makes me mad is this is like butterfly wings. You know what I mean? Like this is chaos theory. We could have completely wrecked country music and line dancing if we had just like hung on and taught that one dance, because then they would have taught it to other people, and then you would have just had like the whole country music world taken over by the Randall. But we bailed.
That sounds like a John Hughes movie or something. Like you needed to stand, everyone just started doing it. The whole bar started doing it.
I know.
The street doing it.
I know it is like a movie because like in those teen movies where everybody knows the one dance and they all start doing the dance. It was, and I like.
Or they're like, what's this new one? And then they just all know how to do everything.
Yeah. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, learn from my fear of failure, fear of success. I don't know what it was, but. What could have been wasn't, because I was a little drunk and I ran off the stage.
Well, if you had ruined country music forever, I would not be happy because I am a huge country fan. I'm very proud of
that. Patsy Cline. I like a couple of her songs.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, that's fine. A couple. Willie Nelson. What?
He's more like.
You like all like the pop grossness? You think Taylor Swift country? P.S. She's not. Go on.
Have I said Taylor Swift? I said Dolly Parton, who is a queen.
Yeah, of course, obviously. Do you know she's covered in tattoos?
Pardon?
Dolly Parton is covered in tattoos.
Lies.
No, I swear. So she apparently told, because she's got probably a little bit of scar tissue, maybe. And so yeah, she apparently told Rosie O'Donnell, even showed Rosie O'Donnell, and Rosie O'Donnell was not supposed to say. And so of course she did. So there's actually pictures of Dolly where she's wearing like white clothing, and you can see on her arms, apparently she's covered in like beautiful flowers and birds and everything. She's got like a heart tattooed or something tattooed like right between her breasts that you can see in some pictures. Yeah, Dolly Parton is apparently covered in tattoos.
I didn't think she could be cooler, but she all of a sudden is.
Put that in one of your trivia games.
Okay, so
according to Kathleen, Dolly Parton is covered in what? That'd be a fun party game. Like according to blah blah blah, and put your friends like write in facts, and then you have to like
facts,
and then you're just trying to guess which was the actual like thing.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Like
You're welcome.
Ballerdash with the gossip, sort of. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I want to keep hanging out, but you know what? The Toronto Raptors are playing a playoff game right now, and I need to go see if they're winning.
Is it still hockey already? Gosh.
This is basketball.
All I know is I think the Blues were doing something. That's from St. Louis. One time in Girl Scouts when I was a kid, they used to do blackouts, so you couldn't watch local sports in like your local area. And my the house where at Girl Scouts they had a satellite dish, and so they were watching the Blues game from Quebec, and so it was so funny. So we were watching it, and it's all in French, and they kept saying the Saint Louis Bleu, Saint Louis Bleu,
bleu. Yeah,
the Bleu,
the bleu,
the Bleu. Vive la France and le Bleu. Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy your sports. I am also going to watch sports.
Yeah, sports.
Survivor. It's cool. All right. Well, good talk. For those of you out there, Pam, how can people find you to discuss their party game ideas that are probably better than my ideas?
I am at Party Hack Games on Twitter and Facebook and the web, partyhackgames.ca.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Kathleen Mercury, and you can find all of my game design resources my teaching game design resources that I post online for free at KathleenMercury.com. I'm on der Twitter at Mercury with 7 M's. And yeah, I like helping people. So if you have an idea and you want some help, you're like, wow, that crazy Kathleen lady, she might be able to help me, or she probably can't, but it'll be fun to talk to her. Hit me up. HMU.
That's
as
what
they
the
say. HMU.
All right. That was super fun. I am.
You're frozen. You're frozen. If I'm not.
I'm
Kathleen.
Am I back?
Wait. We're back. Okay.
Oh my God! Why do I freeze it when I try to wrap up every single time? Well, the one other time we've done this, I swear I freeze right as I'm trying to wrap up the freaking show. Here we go. Before I do it again, I had so much fun. Can't wait to do it again.
Yay, me too.
Bye.
Cool. Bye.